Okay, so I wanted to just take a quick moment to talk about blue flag rules and also talk a quick moment about what to do in blue flag situations because I think it's important that we have that discussion. Um, because I think a couple folks are a little confused of like what to do when you're a car being lapped and like how to appropriately communicate with the lapping car going around you. So the first thing I want to do is read the blue flag rules that are in our on track rules. It's Rule 6.3. It says blue flags must be respected and indicate that lapping cars approaching the pass. Drivers being shown blue flags are not obliged to immediately yield to the lapping car, but must not impede or defend against the lapping car. Drivers being shown blue flags may not contest corners, i.e., defend with a lapping car. So what that means is that if you are in a battle, so let's say for 19th and 20th, and a leader comes up to lap you, you do not have to get out of the way for them. And you can continue your battle as necessary, and it's up for the leading car or the lapping car to find a safe way by. If you decide to yield, you need to do it in a clearly safe place in a clearly obvious way that is easy to adjust to, but you are not obliged to get out of the way. No matter how much they flash or yell or do whatever, they have to find a way by. They drove all the way around the racetrack. They have to figure out a way to get around you because you're going slowly. So one of the biggest struggles we see with cars being lapped is they don't really know what to do. So a couple things that you need to just keep aware of is stay online. Lapping cars are trying to go around you, so they need to get offline to pass you. Um, if you jump offline at the last minute, especially when there's a car really close by, you're in the way because this guy drove all the way around the racetrack to get to you, can get around you because he's way faster than you, and here you are weaving back and forth, right? You might think you're helping by getting out of the way, but you're actually getting in the way because if you just stayed slow, we would get around. So that's the thing that I really would like to reinforce because I see this happen a lot. If you do decide to move offline, because sometimes there's sections of the track where it's like, okay, the straight's long enough or there's enough of a lead time that if I stay offline, it's kind of a giant open door to let people drive by. We're not going to turn for a while, that sort of stuff. Make sure you do it early so the lapping cars have plenty of time to know that you're going to be offline and can just commit to staying full throttle. You can't just jump offline in between two short corners and say, "Oh, I'm offline, you should go by." That's not how the human brain works. So you've got to give them time to internalize that you are going to let them get by safely before they commit. The second thing is that lapping should be done under acceleration, not under braking. The reason why you want to do it under acceleration is because there is more room after the corner than there is before the corner. So if you are going into a corner, when you enter the braking zone, there is very little space before the road starts to turn. So it doesn't make sense to try to attack a lapping car there because they may not see you. We are also moving at the highest speed, so it is the hardest to maintain the car, to manage the car, and it is the most difficult. That's the green box. The blue box is the acceleration zone. This is where we get on the gas. This is where we are leaving corners and straights are long, and it is very easy for us to manage because we are accelerating together. So, if you are going to be lapped, wait until you are on the exit of the corner and it just accelerate slightly more slowly than if you were by yourself. These cars are BOPs, so they have similar power to weight ish. So if you stay full throttle and I stay full throttle, there's no way I'm going to get it by you because we are both going full throttle. The only way I even got to you is because I was carrying more cornering speed around the lap. But if I get stuck behind you, I'm accelerating at the same rate that you're accelerating at. That sucks. As a lapping car, I'm expecting you to just not accelerate as much so I can get by you. Just don't put the throttle all the way down as fast. Okay. Um, a smart driver will just follow you until you have a safe acceleration zone to get past. A driver who's impatient or not as smart will dive you, just hope you don't turn in, and you might die. So often when you're like, oh, he just turned in on me, it's typically because they're either impatient or don't know how to manage traffic. Um, don't like get on the brakes on the exit. The blue box is where we get on the gas. Like that's where we're supposed to be leaving the corner. So everyone's expecting you to be on throttle in some sort. No brake lights, no brakes, right? So if you jump on the brakes thinking you're getting out of the way, you are in the way. So Oulton, bumpy, narrow, I get it. The boxes in pink are some acceleration zones that can make it easy to manage being lapped. Why are these good places? They are relatively straight. They are after a corner, and if you give the lapping cars enough time, they'll be able to make it by either on or offline without having to do anything significantly different. And so, we don't really want to be passing people in the middle of 4, 5, and 6 because it's relatively fast. We don't want to be passing people in the middle of 15 if we can help it because it's relatively fast, right? We just want to do it where it's safe and straight. Yes, this track is narrow. Yes, this track is bumpy, but it is possible to do so. So I want to give you some examples of good passing and bad passing when it comes to lapping traffic, and I'll run the video and then I'll pause it and show you. So the first place I actually wanted to start was right at the end of this lap. This is during the bronze race this last week. So, yep, okay, sorry, I had to check first. So the NSX is the car being lapped. He's in 14th. We're fighting for second and third. So we're coming up on turn 15. We're going to make it around the third sector, and he has been mindful enough to pay attention to his relative MFD to know that cars are coming, and gets offline early enough that we can just navigate by him without having to do anything significantly different. This person is my best friend because they are aware of what's happening around them, either by paying attention to the relative MFD or the blue flags or the map. They get over in a wide, obvious place that is safe and easy for us to adjust to, and do it early enough that there is all of this road for us to drive on by and never have to worry about him again. Best friend, high five. I actually went to this driver after the race and gave him a compliment for being so good with traffic because it's a rarity. Okay, so the next example I want to show is not that. So in this particular case, what we're going to show is a driver who has been in the way for a little bit. They don't get off the throttle in any of the acceleration zones. So we follow him for an unnecessary long time. He is by himself. He is not battling any other cars. So none of the battle rules here apply, right? This is second and third battling someone I think in like 29th, something like that. So the lapping car has all of the time in the world to know that we are coming and accommodate for us so that we can accommodate for him. So I want to pause this here for a split second because one of the things that's frustrating that will compare from the NSX comparison to this one is that this McLaren was offline for a second, which led us to believe, oh, he might slow down, like the example before. But he does not. He gets right back on the throttle and goes right back in the brake zone. So now we know he doesn't really pay attention. Here would be a great place to get off the throttle and or get offline. Even though point one was to stay online, if you're gonna get offline, do it in a place that's straight so that we can just drive by because we are all going straight. Here, the car I'm battling with is impatient because they followed you for a while. You're not paying attention to anything that's happening. I'm right up his back. So he's going to try to make a move. This is a risk that you take when you don't pay attention to traffic around you because other people are in a race too. Now here, I followed him through the chicane, giving him room to get through the chicane, slightly annoyed that the guy in front of me is getting away, but I'm expecting him here to stay online and just don't accelerate. I can just go straight here. I will make it by him as we go over this crest into the next turn, and if he lets me go by, this problem will be over. That does not happen. So now I'm not going to dive him. I am not going to take the risk of getting hit, and I'm going to follow him, which is frustrating because I'm going to lose even more time. Now, remember, this person is alone. He's not fighting with other cars, he's not in a train of other cars in front of him. This is one of those situations where heads up driving when you're by yourself is super critical because you can't use the excuse of, like, oh, I was battling with a car in front. That is not happening here. Same thing here. After we get off the curb, because I know turn 12 can be rough, I'm expecting some sort of sign that, like, hey, I'm in the way, right? A deceleration, slightly weave offline, something to say, hey, I noticed you. I'm sorry I've been in the way for God knows too long. I will try to get out of the way at my earliest convenience. Something. So that does not happen, and he either misses the turn or decides to get out of the way in a really awkward spot because it's a high speed corner where there's no grip on the outside. It's very narrow, it's very risky. Some drivers won't make that move, some drivers will, right? So, this area is where I would expect for you to let me go if you're just not paying attention at all or just nervous because it is straight and it is straight for a long time. So, by just not accelerating here, I can get by you and get back online before we get to the next corner in a place that is relatively okay. So, anyway, the point of this whole PSA is that, if you are managing lap traffic, you just need to communicate clearly that you notice the cars that are lapping you and respond in a deliberate and easy to anticipate way. If you do not do that, you will create trains of fast drivers behind you that will have decreasing patience as the lap goes on. And then may the odds be ever in your favor. Have a great day.